be doing a packing tip video for you. We are actually packing for our next Walt Disney World trip. By the time this video is uploaded, we'll already be back from that trip. However, I did think this was a nice opportunity to be able to give you guys some different, tips on how to actually pack and some things that you should probably be bringing with you on your next Walt Disney World vacation. So what I like to do as far as packing, I actually use my computer and I use Excel and I do a little packing list on there. That way, actually, I can keep that on the computer for the next trip, so I can refer back to that and really just kind of change it and adapt it to the next trip that we're going to be going on. So that way I don't have to start from scratch and you already have a base on what you've done in the past. So that's my tip number one for you, is definitely make sure that you make a packing list and do it on the computer so you can use that for future trips as well. Some of the different ways that I like to pack my suitcase, I wanted to kind of share with you different tips on organization and space saving ways to actually pack. When it comes to pants or shorts, capris, whatever you got with you, there's two different things that I like to do to kind of, save some space. These kind of items tend to get a little bit bulky if you, fold them several times and shove them in the suitcase. I don't like to fold them. I just fold them in half and I either lay them on the bottom of the suitcase, neatly fold in the edge of it to make it as flat as possible on the bottom. That is one way. It doesn't take up as much room. You can put everything else on top of it. Or another way that I like to put either my shorts or jeans or whatever is the handy dandy zipper compartment that will be in the lid of your suitcase. I like to actually put it in here. That way the entire, main part of the suitcase is completely open for anything else that you need. So again, just like putting it in here, you would just basically try to fit it in the lid as best as you can. So you'll probably have to fold just so slightly. Okay, so I have it in here. Just zip it up. As you see, it's not taking up very much room at all. And I still have the entire interior of the suitcase to work with. As far as shirts go, I kind of adopted the roll not fold technique. Fold it in half and then roll it. It doesn't seem to take up as much room. So again, we're just starting with it folded in half. And then for tank tops, I like to fold the straps in so it's a little bit more of a rectangular shape. And then you just neatly roll. So then you have a shape like this. It's just a nice little roll, even though it might be a little bit longer sometimes than when you actually fold it. When you put it into your suitcase, you can, shove it against the side and stuff, and you can put several shirts and even put them on top of each other, and they're not taking up very much room. I definitely suggest doing the roll not fold. It seems to help a lot. Another great way to kind of work with the space as best as possible is to utilize the space inside of your shoes. Shoes are going to take up a lot of room in your suitcase, so utilizing the space inside the shoe is going to save you in the long run. What I have done with these is I've actually stuck some socks into the shoes. So I've just, rolled up my pairs of socks and I've shoved them right into the shoes. So that way I don't have a separate, ziploc bag or something like that of socks as well as the shoes. They're all together. Of course, if you're flying, you're going to have your 1 quart bag with all of your smaller liquids in it. Everybody pretty much knows the 1 quart bag with, all of the liquids that are, 3 ounces or less. They all have to fit into the bag. I do take a lot more than what's in my bag at the moment, but I still have some more packing to do. So this is just kind of the start of the bag here. There's some different pieces that you can get that will actually help you organize your suitcase a little bit. One of the things that I'm actually doing on this trip for the first time as far as organizing is I have this awesome little jewelry case. This was a gift to me, and this is the first time I'm able to use it. I really like this thing because it's not very thick, and I'm going to be able to put so much stuff in this. There's all of these little folder sheets, if you will, and they have all of these different zipper compartments. So if you have a lot of smaller things that you want to take with you, this is a nice way to organize it. In the front here, I'm going to be putting my makeup, which I currently do not have as I am still using that. but everything else is pretty much in here that I'm going to be taking. My next section, I'm putting all of the jewelry that I'm going to be taking with me, my hair ties, hair clips, bobby pins, all of that kind of stuff. In the final compartments, I have some medicines. I like to kind of take, different things just in case. I have had to use some of these before, so I always like to try and take things with me. I have, everything from Advil to congestion medicine. I have bad allergies. For some reason, I really don't tend to have allergies in Florida, but I do like to take the Claritin with me anyways. I have, Q-tips, Advil, Band-Aids, that kind of stuff. I just like to have, different things just in case if something goes wrong, you get sick, you cut yourself, there's so many different things that could happen. So I just like to take, different things. Now this is going to be going in my carry-on, so I don't have any of the creams or anything like that, any sort of liquids in here. Those are going to be in a separate compartment that I will be putting in my checked bag. Since that is going in my carry-on, this is the thing that has the rest of the medicine in it that will be going in the checked bag. In this bag I have more things like Neosporin, aloe, that kind of stuff that is more of a cream or liquid. So I have all of that kind of stuff in this little zipped compartment. So again, everything's together and it's not taking up much room. I like to be organized and I like to use the least amount of room for my stuff that I possibly can, because honestly I like to pack a lot. I tend to overpack a little bit, so stuff like this kind of helps, keep my suitcase a little bit more organized. I also have this little case here that I think I'm going to use for more of my makeup that I can't put in my carry-on, my liquid foundation and stuff like that. It's just a little case here, has a nice little mirror and everything like that. You can just, snap it shut. Again, not taking up much room. Things that I've used in the past that's helped me out a lot, but I'm not necessarily going to use on this vacation. This is one of the things that I've used. A lot of times on our trips, I would actually use this for all of the medicines, whether it be the creams or the pills or anything like that. A lot of times I would put it in this and put this entire thing in my checked bag, but for this trip, I decided to do it a little bit differently. I do have that awesome new thing that I'm going to be using, so that was one of the reasons. Another reason is we're actually going to be sharing a checked bag this time around instead of having our own checked bags. So to save space, I decided to not use this time. But this is just a little, soft-sided cosmetics case that, just zips up. Another thing that I've used on several trips that I'm not going to be using this time around, that would be this little cosmetics case that came with my luggage. So as you see, it just, zips up, and it has, a mirror and some different flaps and everything where you can keep everything organized. But since I am opting to use some of the other things, I won't be using this on this trip. But if you have, a need for this, this is definitely a nice way to keep things organized. I tend to put, my larger items in this and then put it into the checked bag. However, I do tend to put a lot in here, so it does kind of take up a lot of room in the checked bag. So that's why I'm not going to be using that this trip. But I definitely would recommend using something like this if you have the room for it. This is also a nice thing. With that container I just showed, this is the type of stuff that I would generally put in there. That would be my larger, liquidy kind of items. I have, my large lotion, a larger bottle of my sunblock. I do have the, smaller thing in my 1 quart, but for a longer trip, I do like to take the larger version as well, just in case if I do run out. I like to take a big can of hairspray. That kind of stuff would be the type of things that I would generally put in that container. But for this trip, I'm going to be putting them just in these Ziploc bags. And this is not going to be taking up as much room as that big pink case. So I'm opting to do it this way this time. Also, if you are taking, big lotions and stuff like that, putting them in a Ziploc bag is a good idea anyways. That way, if something opens up, it's not going to get all over everything. Even with using the pink container that I generally use, I would always put this kind of stuff in Ziploc bags and then put it into there. So definitely keep that in mind. You don't want stuff to spill out all over your luggage. That is not very fun. One thing that I definitely have to make sure that I pack is the bag that I'm going to be taking into the parks. Actually got this bag on a trip to Walt Disney World to replace one that actually broke while we were down there. So these bags I think are absolutely great. I've tried the one shoulder bags. I don't really care for them for a trip. I found that it kind of, hurt my shoulder to have everything on one side. So this is a little bit more, ergonomically correct, so to speak. It kind of, weights things on your back a little bit better. I find these to be great. Some people like the one shoulder. If that works for you, that's great. I just found, something like this is a little bit easier for me to take around the parks. Generally what I like to do is I take a gallon Ziploc bag and I put it actually in here. That way if you happen to get caught, in a really bad rainstorm or something like that, you go on a water ride, if water gets through this, it won't soak the stuff that you have in the purse if you have it in the Ziploc bag. So I kind of like to double protect as far as that goes and put the Ziploc bag in here to put my things in. In this bag to organize, my money and stuff like that, I will put a smaller bag in. I have this bag that I'm going to be using on this current trip, so that way, it's a little bit easier to find in the big bag. If I have, things that I get to a little bit more often in a smaller bag, it's easier to find in there. As far as organizing, if you have any, credit cards or IDs or anything on you, I found this thing, I believe we bought it on Amazon. It has a lot of different compartments in it. It has the credit card slots and the ID slot, and there's the different compartments in here and everything. I love this thing. It fits so easily into here, and you can put so much stuff in here. Again, I think I bought this on Amazon. It is leather. Definitely a thing to consider if you are looking for a space saver way to kind of keep that kind of stuff organized. For the ladies, I definitely suggest a larger purse for the plane for your personal item. You can fit a lot in it, so that way you're not weighting down your carry-on bag so much, and you can still have a lot of stuff with you. I personally use this large bag here. There's so much room in here, and one of the things I actually do is sometimes I put shoes in here. I will lay shoes at the bottom, and then like I said with the other shoes, is I will put stuff in it. If I have a hairbrush or anything like that, a pair of sunglasses, whatever you have, kind of tuck into the shoes, and that way, you're saving yourself some space in your purse as well. When I choose what shoes to put in the purse, I tend to go with the lightest weight shoes that I'm taking, so that way I'm not, bogging down my purse with any heavy shoes. But if you do have some lightweight, sandals or something like that you're going to be taking, definitely consider sticking them at the bottom of your purse, so that way you're not, taking up room in your carry-on, and you still have a lot of room in your purse if you do take a nice large bag. One thing that I definitely suggest making sure that you take would be multiple pairs of shoes. I like to make sure I have all of my shoes with me, just in case if anything gets lost, so I tend to put all of my shoes between my purse and my carry-on bag, so that way they are all with me. It's nice to be able to switch from shoe to shoe. It does kind of help with your feet aching and stuff like that, because there's a lot of walking at Walt Disney World. If you haven't been there before, definitely make sure that you take broken in, comfortable shoes and multiple pairs of them so you can switch on and off. It will definitely help your feet. I definitely suggest taking some snacks with you in your checked bag if you are taking one, so that way you have, something to munch on in your hotel room. This is all I'm taking on this trip. I don't like to take a lot because I don't want to take up much room in the suitcase, but I do want to take some stuff with us to munch on. Like I mentioned before with the medicines, definitely make sure that you bring, something with you just in case. I tend to take a lot to kind of cover my bases no matter what would happen. You don't have to take that much, but make sure you at least, have some basics with you just in case, someone gets ill or something like that on your trip. You have some stuff with you. You can buy that stuff, at Walt Disney World. They will have that kind of stuff, but it is a higher price than you would pay here at home. So make sure that you do take at least some of that stuff with you just in case. If you are staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel that offers coffee, you might want to consider taking your own coffee if you tend to drink a lot of coffee, because like with other hotels, you do get a small amount of coffee and they will refill it for you. But if you are partial to a certain type of coffee, or if you just want a little bit extra, you might want to consider bringing your own. We're not going to do that on this trip, but we have done that in the past. Now, if you are staying on Walt Disney World Resort property and you are not staying in a DVC resort, they use the type of coffee makers that have the pods. If you are staying at a DVC resort, it is a regular coffee maker where it would be, you know, the regular coffee filters. If you are staying at the other resorts, they do use those coffee pods. So we actually purchased these on Amazon before. They're make your own coffee pods. Essentially, it just kind of folds open here and you put your coffee right in here. You fold this flap over and you put it in. Now it is a little bit messy compared to the pods that are already made that they will have in the room because these aren't, you know, sealed. So some of the coffee grounds might kind of fall out as you're trying to, you know, pick it up. So just be mindful of that. So they were relatively inexpensive. You know, it's something I'm never going to use here at home, but you know, it is, you know, nice to have. All right, well, I hope this kind of helped you on, you know, different ways to organize and save space and maybe different things to take on your vacation that you weren't necessarily, you know, thinking of taking before. If you do have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below and hit subscribe. New videos to come soon. See you later, guys.